one of the big topics that's impacting everyone, and we actually just read a study on Fox Business because the most recent data showed that the average American being impacted by inflation was paying an extra $5,200 a year for gas and for groceries. And now the new figure, based on skyrocketing inflation, is over $700 a month, and it totals $8,600, $8,604 per year because of inflation.
And they continue to think that it's not that bad because they just keep spending more money, right?
Or you can buy a $70,000 electric car.
Yeah.
All of your problems are solved.
Yeah.
But I do see, when it comes to really important charitable causes too, that it could be indirectly one of the reasons why a lot of people are somewhat not hesitant. They just can't afford to give that extra dollar, even though there's so many people who are hurting right now. And one very dear friend of ours, Jason Jaskula, he runs the KIA Memorial Road March, and it's taking place Saturday, the 20th, Orchard Park, New York. And Jason, first and foremost, welcome to Mike and Mychajliw. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Now, I know you are very active on Facebook. You shoot numerous videos to promote the march. Do you feel as though, and not just with the KIA march, but you've got to go the extra mile to promote a really worthwhile charitable event, because it is a very challenging time for a lot of people to either part with their money, their food, the whole nine yards, because of inflation?
Yeah, I mean, disposable income is just what it is. Disposable income, that little bit of extra money that you have to do things like go to concerts, go to, sporting events, do the entertainment thing. And one of those things is helping out with charitable organizations. People just don't have that because they're putting it in their gas tank just to get back and forth to work, or they're just paying for products that, unfortunately have gone up quadruple what they've been, the last 2 years, and that's the other thing that hurt, was coming off of COVID. Pre-COVID versus post-COVID are two completely different things when it even comes to people saying, it used to be wait for the weather. Now let's wait to see if something got canceled over the last 2 years. They spend their money and things just got canceled or altogether disappeared, and people couldn't, get together outside and breathe.
And I would say that too, Stefan. I know we've talked about this. It's not only going into COVID and then, going through it, people losing jobs, incomes going down. Now we're finally, it feels like, out of COVID. And it's not just like people think of the big things like gas, right? Like, oh, gas is higher, lumber's up. It's literally everything. You go to the store, eggs, milk, orange juice, whatever bread, whatever you're trying to buy, every little thing in everybody's lives have just skyrocketed.
And Jason, isn't that then even more of a point for the KIA Memorial March, that everyday Americans are hurting, and so are veterans, about the importance of your event, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, veterans are still in the same position, if not worse. They come back from combat, they come back from, active duty service, trying to reintroduce themselves to civilian jobs and everything else. And there's either jobs aren't hiring because they can't afford to hire, or, they just can't go through it. I mean, it's crazy to think that, everybody is hurting now. So, that's why we haven't raised our price for the registration. Normally, pre-COVID, we raised it every month, mostly to get the procrastinators out there. Like, hey, register now, price goes up next month, price goes up next month. We just kept it at $65. And I mean, for $65, compared to some of the other events that are out there in races, it's relatively inexpensive for what you're actually getting the bang for your buck. Chick-fil-A, Labatt's, 13 Monkeys whiskey, a t-shirt, medals, free parking, access to Chestnut Ridge on a beautiful day, and, honor all 331 military members that were killed in action, and feel good about the fact that you're donating a lot of food to help out veterans in the local food pantries.
Go ahead, Stefan.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna cut a lot of those things out because we're getting a little, just to let you know, Jason, we're getting a little bit of a delay in some of your feed, but no big deal. So Jason, you were a sergeant major in the United States Army. Take us back to the reason why you first started the KIA Memorial March, because it was Chris Dill, Buffalo firefighter, and very dear friend of yours who was killed while serving overseas, correct?
Yes, and I tell a lot of people look at why charities start or why people are actually trying to do things because there usually is a backstory, and if not, look at why they're doing it. But yeah, absolutely. On April 4th, 2005, my best friend, Staff Sergeant Christopher Dill, got killed in Iraq. So killed in action while we were out on missions, and it coming back, to back to Buffalo without Chris, after serving with them, was daunting in itself. Not only did I had to reintegrate myself into, my job and the civilian life and just, relationships and things in general, I realized that, Chris having died wasn't the only one that died. And when I started researching it, realized quickly that, just in the local area at that time in 2006, there was 58 military members that were killed in action in Iraq and Afghanistan since 9/11. So when you start looking at that, that's just from Western New York. There was 297 that were killed in action throughout New York State. And that number is significantly magnified when you take into account they all had a dad, a mom, some had brothers, sisters, children, wives, friends and family that, you can honestly multiply each of those killed in action by about 50 to 60 people, and all the people that it impacted because of the loss of life.
And then, so Jason, 10 years ago was the first annual KIA Memorial March. And basically it was just you with rocks and a rucksack walking around the park, was it not?
Well, I walked from Boston, New York to Orchard Park, New York. We ended at a spaghetti dinner, and I did it to raise money for a local thing that was happening at that time, which was they had a veteran program for all those that were in the VA, and it was basically an Olympic style thing for all those veterans 55 and over. So we raised $4,000 for it, and we wrote a rock. Each one of the rocks had a name of the fallen on it. So it took me about 3.5 hours to walk 22 kilometers, and quickly realized the following year that I didn't want to keep doing that every year by myself. So I opened it up to a road march. And then logistically, we decided, well, carrying something, what can we have them carry that's worthwhile? And we decided on canned goods and food for those in need.
And then we got two more questions. Again, just so you're aware, we are getting a little bit of lag in your phone. Not a big deal because I'm going to edit all of this out anyway. So Jason, 10 years later, the march is Saturday, August 20th at Chestnut Ridge Park. And you are down registrations. Again, you have been taking to Facebook and using Facebook videos to basically promote that registration. What would you say to people then about the importance of registering for your march, donating food to help veterans who are hurting right now?
Yeah, what I would say is come out. I mean, like you said, summer's almost over. It's a beautiful park. We got live music by Legacy. Chick-fil-A. I mean, in and itself, if you don't want to wait in line over at some of the stores, they're actually donating it, Transit and Lawson. And, come out, see the families that are out there. The Gold Star parents are usually out there with, the Gold Star families. A lot of those that served and were killed in action. Oddly enough, the Lammerts, Michael Lammert actually died on the same date that Chris died, only years later. So, it's a huge impact in Buffalo in such a small community that you're going to know somebody that's out there and having fun. And not to mention, there's awesome trophies and medals, and you're just helping out the community in a huge way. And Buffalo's always been known for that.
Jason, one last question. We're at the anniversary now of about a year since the Afghanistan pullout from the Biden administration, and it didn't go as smoothly as we all would have hoped, right? And it didn't go, not even as smoothly. There were just mistakes made left and right, leaving weaponry there, getting our beloved soldiers killed there. What are your thoughts about this administration and how they handled that, and how they've even handled it since?
Well, let me just say, ever since we got into Afghanistan and Iraq, there are plans for exit every year that are built upon. And there's lessons learned that go on years and years and years. So you had something that was, since 2001 in the making, that people have been digesting the information and figuring out the proper way to exit and go about it. So it's not like they were reinventing the wheel. They could have looked at strategic plans from the last, 20 years, 19 years, and gone back and just researched that and said, all right, what are the best pros and cons of each one of these yearly, plans that we had, and take all the good from it. And apparently none of that was even looked at from what I can see, to just leave that equipment there, and just leave millions and millions of tax dollars money out there for basically our enemies to basically consume and go through and see what our actual weaponry is like and what our capabilities are like, and build their own stuff or just use their stuff until it broke.
But Jason, it's also not just the loss of money and the loss of equipment and the loss of any semblance of weaponry, but it's also a loss of life. You lost a very dear friend in Iraq. Many
Yep.
more Americans were killed over the years in Afghanistan. To some extent, is it understandable that a lot of veterans and their families feel as though, based on the withdrawal of 1 year ago by the Biden administration, that they have to ask that question, okay, was that sacrifice worth
Worth
it,
it. Yep.
considering the end outcome?
Absolutely. And that's what a lot of veterans are going to struggle with, or are struggling with currently, is, was it right? Was it what we were supposed to do? Was it all for naught? Did I lose my best friend for nothing? What was the ultimate game plan? And was this it in the beginning? Everybody seems to be doubting a lot of what the government is saying, and rightfully so, because they're not being completely transparent with it. Just to pull out, and I mean, there was civilians that were lost, there was military members that were lost. And a lot of people say, oh, well, they signed up for it. It's nobody signs up to die for their country. You know what I mean? They're signing up to put a hurting on the people on the other end of it, the enemy. And we all want to come home. Unfortunately, a lot of people did not come home, and we honor those folks, that were killed in action. And, sadly enough, I think we're probably one of the few organizations that does honor them on a yearly basis, 10 years running, with no government support whatsoever. We don't take salaries. It's completely volunteer based. And, our money goes back into feeding those that are in need and helping veterans. So we always say, help KMR, help veterans.
One last thing, Jason, the last 30 seconds here too. You just said about, you obviously military members don't sign up to lose their lives in battle. Of course, that's not what you sign up for. Do you think that you maybe, and even other veterans, feel like the Biden administration, Joe Biden, his generals, have let them down in Afghanistan? I mean, we lost 13 guys that day and girls that day. Do you feel like they've let the military and service members down?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, honestly, you got to be there for the soldiers and the military members in general, and to just basically dismiss loss of life that, these soldiers did, and just pull out as haphazardly as they did. It's kind of a crying shame that, the military in general is, all the branches are very proud for each one of their branches. And it's just something that, did we not learn our lesson from Vietnam? It's not like this is the first conflict we've been in, and it's lessons learned is what the military harps on. And it just seems that the administration just kind of was like, we're going to do what we're going to do, and who cares? We're not being held accountable. And unfortunately, that seems the way the politics have been going as of lately.
All right, Jason Jaskula from KIA Memorial Road March. And Jason, if people do want to sign up Saturday, August 20th at Chestnut Ridge Park, if they want to sign up and donate for the Memorial March, how can they do that?
They can go right to the website, kiamemorialmarch.com, and they can sign up. All the info is on there under events, and there is donation links, or they can just sign up virtually for the race. It's all through the week that they can sign up still, right up until the day of.
Okay, wonderful. And thank you very much for your service to our country. It is greatly appreciated.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
sir.
Jason.